overnight, 79 tomorrow. Sunshine and 68 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Retire Chicago. Tune in Saturday mornings at 8 to Retire Chicago with John McNamara of McNamara Capital.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and President Trump explaining his decision to postpone the tariffs he threatened to impose on September 1.
It's all about Christmas.
We're doing this for Christmas season. Just in case some of the tariffs would have an impact on U.S. customers, but so far they've had virtually none.
So now he's admitting that some consumers could be impacted by the tariffs, which he delayed until December 15th. So do your Christmas shopping early, folks. Don't wait until the last minute because you might have to pay more.
Well, unless you take Senator Rick Scott's advice and boycott Chinese goods altogether, then the tariffs are really irrelevant to you to a large extent. However, is this a case where we have President Trump engaged in ready, fire, aim politics and policymaking? Didn't know Christmas was around the corner? More on this topic. We're pleased to be joined again by our friend Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, economist, and author of the book Trumponomics, Inside the America First Plan to Revive Our Economy. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Morning. So what about the decision by the president to reverse his announcement from just a few days ago?
Well, obviously, Wall Street loved it, right?
Yes.
I mean, we had a big boom yesterday on stock prices. I don't like trade wars. I do think Trump needs to stand up to China. And what worries me, and is this a retreat by Trump? And in the sense, will the Chinese believe that they now have the upper hand in this fight? Because this doesn't resolve anything, really. It just says, well, we're going to postpone the tariffs. And I hope that the Beijing government doesn't interpret this as a sign of weakness by Trump. We will see. I mean, the White House put a statement saying we're not retreating here. This is a strategic decision. The market's fallen something like 1,200 points since he announced the most recent round of tariffs. So
I noticed. Yeah.
We'll see. It's a very unstable situation. If we can get that deal done, though, I mean, God, the stock market's going to go through the roof. It's the only big negative on the economy right now.
Yeah, but what I don't like and what doesn't sit well with me is this all along President Trump kept saying, oh, this is the American consumers aren't paying for anything. And then he flat out admitted it that we are. And that's, that's what we've been saying all along. But, why? I mean, didn't he know that some Americans are actually listening to what he's saying and doing?
Well, I think Dan and I had a big argument about this last week,
and I was right.
I was saying, I was saying that the Chinese are picking up the tab, and Dan was saying American consumers are. And now it looks like the president's taking your side in this argument, Dan.
I hate to break it to you. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know quite what to say about that. I think that.
Well, what's the next step?
I do believe that when you impose a tariff like this, I think, certainly some of the cost is borne by American consumers, but some of it is also borne by Chinese companies and the Chinese government, which has, lowered the value of the yuan in response to this. So, it's hard to parcel out who's paying what for this. It hurts both countries. But in the end, I've always said that this is short-term pain for the U.S. economy, this tariff war, for long-term gain. That if we could get a deal with China, stops stealing and opens up their markets to the U.S. and starts adhering to international law when it comes to trade, it would be good for everybody. By the way, it'd be good for the Chinese. Their stock market would rally like crazy.
I want to get your reaction to what I've been seeing from the investotainment shows, more use of the R word, recession, bonds, popularity, the 10-year versus the 2-year, the yield, the inverted yield curve, which has predicted 7 of the 9 recessions, and just more skittishness and financial analysts, including one of the top guys at Morgan Stanley, increasing the prospect of a recession in the next 12 months.
Well, first of all these groups like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs and so on have effectively, called something like a 9 of the last 2 recessions.
Exactly.
So, they always
Yes,
see a
right.
recession around the corner. And I don't put any stock in what a lot of these quote so-called expert economists say. Now, I am very concerned about the Fed. As you know, this is one of the reasons Trump nominated me to be in the Fed, because the Fed is too tight. Trump is right about this. The amazing thing about Donald Trump is, the guy doesn't even have an economics degree. He's an MBA. He's a hell of a smart guy, and he's a successful businessman, but he's not an economist. And he gets what's going on better than the 300 PhD economists they have over at the Fed. The Fed is behind the curve here. I call for an emergency meeting. They should meet tomorrow and reduce rates and get more dollar liquidity into the economy. Dan, when you see, as you just said, an inverted yield curve, that is to say the long-term bond interest rates are lower than the short-term bond rates, that's an indication the market perceives, perhaps correctly, that we're headed towards a deflationary environment. Look at what's happening in Germany right now, where the bonds are negative. Yeah, that means that people are paying the government to hold on to their money. That is a catastrophic, turn of events. Negative real interest rates would be a terrible thing for the American economy. The way you combat that is you get more money and dollar liquidity in the economy. And the Fed is behind the curve, so they should do it right now. They should do a 50 basis point decline, and they should cut. The Fed is paying interest on bank reserves, which is a terrible idea, and it's reducing bank lending. So I am concerned about that.
Not to pour salt in your wound, but who took your spot on the Federal Reserve Board?
Who took it? Well,
Yeah.
I've got my fingers crossed that it's going to be Judy Shelton.
Yeah, right.
Who's a fantastic economist. She was the chief economist for Jack Kemp back in the day. I love Judy. I think she's.
Steve, did we lose you?
See, I asked the
Steve,
question.
did we lose you? Judy Shelton. Yeah, Judy Shelton. She's not confirmed
Too soon?
yet, but
No, I know.
nominated.
Okay.
All right, we'll effort to get Steve back. We'll be right back.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Balance of nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
While I'm searching for the perfect balance, there's hundreds of thousands of chemicals just in an apple alone, and hundreds of thousands in an orange, and all of them. If I can just remove the water without damaging all of the other chemistry, then I can pack it more dense. I never imagined that I would be able to get it down to 3 fruit capsules and 3 vegetable capsules and have the same nutrient value as eating over 10 servings of fruits and vegetables every day.
Experience the balance of nature difference for yourself. For a limited time, all new preferred customers will receive an additional 30% discount and free shipping on your first Balance of Nature order. You will also receive an extra $10 off on any additional set of fruits and veggies you purchase. This summer special will expire, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Is your old AC a clunker? Does it clunk, leak, or make weird noises? Could be it's on its way out. Luckily, the highly trained techs at your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning will replace your AC with new top-tier equipment. And isn't that what you want to hear? Right now, get big savings on a complete cooling system. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we're back with Steve Moore, who hung up after Amy opened a scab.
Well,
asking
admire
who was
you.
nominated to replace him after he withdrew his nomination for the Fed.
Well, I
Sorry
just
about
admire
that,
your
Steve.
strength. I don't know how you get over something like that.
I thought we were friends, Amy, and then you did have
Oh.
to speak.
Mean-spirited.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
But I think Judy would be great. And I don't know when we got cut off, but I was saying, look, we have the strongest economy. I mean, we have the lowest interest rates in 50 years. We've got the lowest inflation rate in 50 years. We've got the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. We've got rising wages. I mean, it's a great picture, especially if you're a worker. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when we had 20% mortgage interest rates. Remember in the late 70s? You know what? You can get a 30-year mortgage today at a 3.5% interest rate.
Wow.
Yeah, but
That's the most amazing thing. We're going to tell our grandkids about that.
well then, if that's all true, the picture you just described, then why is there an urgent need for a 50 basis point rate cut?
Because what's going on right now is that, I'm worried about negative real interest rates. I mean, we've seen what's happening in countries like Germany where rates have gone negative. That's a really bad turn of events. And so, we need to, if you look at what's happening at commodity prices, if you're looking at what's happening with the inflation measured bond, it's selling at almost a 0% real rate right now. So we're getting in a precarious position. We need to inject money into the economy. Here's the thing: the people at the Fed, these 300 PhD economists, they believe that economic growth and increasing production causes inflation. That's called the Phillips curve, and it's completely wrong. When you get more goods and services produced through deregulation and lower taxes, that means prices fall. By the way, at the end of the show, there will be an exam. So
I know.
You didn't tell me there's going to be a test.
Your friend Art Laffer disproved the Phillips curve.
He has decimated the Phillips curve, and he is now a. I just had dinner with him last night. By the way, he's wearing his presidential medal of freedom everywhere he goes now.
He earned it. Hey, well, let me ask you this, particularly back to China, but it's a little bit of.
By the way, did I hear on this show that you are going to be going to church?
Is that me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I go to church. I go to mass.
Oh,
I was.
conversion.
I was just because I went to Northwestern doesn't mean I'm a godless communist, Steve Moore.
Well, he's going to church tomorrow night for an event that was supposed to be held tonight that has been moved to tomorrow night to a church in
Ravenswood. Yeah, First Spanish
okay.
Christian Church in Ravenswood.
What
7
is it
o'clock.
Is it free?
No, it's free. Yes, it's free. You're welcome to it.
So I'll be there. He's just got to Uber me there.
Let me ask you, Steve, about China, but it's sort of a political as well as economic question. Rick Scott, senator from Florida, calls for a boycott of Chinese goods, in large measure because of what's happening in Hong Kong and the repression of those protesters. We go through this intermittently when Boeing wanted to sell planes to Iran, and congressmen like Peter Roskam interceded to say that's a problem. National security concerns and other concerns, not just economic concerns. What about that? What about the president making a case for those Hong Kong protesters and for, frankly, turning the screws on Chinese voluntarily by saying, I'm not going to purchase Chinese goods as long as you're repressing freedom-loving people in Hong Kong?
Did you say Rick Scott was saying that?
Yeah, Rick Scott has called for a boycott, yes.
Yeah, by the way, Rick Scott's my favorite senator. He was the best governor. Boy, wouldn't it be wonderful if just 1 year Rick Scott could be the governor of Illinois? I bet he could turn the whole state around like he did Florida. Rick Scott's a smart guy. I'm 100% agreement with him. China, this is a precarious situation. I mean, I love the fact, by the way, don't you love the fact that they call their army the Liberation Army? They're not liberators, they're repressors. And it looks like, I haven't seen the news this morning, it looks like they may move their army into Hong Kong, which is, the one little perch of freedom there in China has been Hong Kong. And this is a dangerous, dangerous moment. And I want Trump, I want the American government, and I want every American citizen to stand up for those freedom seekers. By the way, these are heroes. They should win the Nobel Prize in those protesters in Hong Kong. So I'm totally with Rick Scott. And, every American just stop buying things from China until they back off. Because once they go into Hong Kong, then they're going to go to Taiwan.
All right, I'm going to sell my Yao Ming jersey just as sort of a solidarity.